Good morning, television family. We have gathered once again in front of the warmth of our high-definition televisions or computer screens or whatever it is to begin another festive, fun, and informative edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Now I've set the bar so high I better live up to it. I'm Dan Kuntz. Friday, 29th day of July, 2022. Newsflash, is going to be hot today. We hit 109 yesterday. 109. That's the new record for July 28th. The old record was 105, set back in 1998. So not only did we set a new record, we blew past it. 109. But it's going to be much cooler today. It's only going to be 107. So there you go. To nobody's surprise, and as accurately predicted on this very television program, they have extended, the National Weather Service has, the excessive heat warning until Sunday, for basically through the rest of the weekend until 11 o'clock on Sunday night. It's still going to be oppressively hot, but then we catch a break. That big dome of high pressure is going to do two things. It's going to start breaking down, and it's going to start moving away, and we're finally going to get some relief by next week. In fact, temperatures by the middle of next week are actually going to be below normal. Can't wait for that. Watershed, of course, is this weekend at the Gorge in George. That 3-day big country music blowout. Oh, man, it's not going to be pleasant down there. Have fun if you're going to Watershed. Hydrate. And I don't mean beer, because that ain't going to do the job. But if you're heading down to Watershed at the Gorge in George, pack the sunscreen and as much water as you can pack. Forecast details are coming up. News, yes. In sports, DK Metcalf is a very wealthy man this morning. He's been in camp for a couple of days, but he said, I ain't practicing until I get a new deal. Well, yesterday he got a new deal. And the Seattle Mariners and the Houston Astros did battle at Minute Maid Park, and Houston got the better part of that. Highlights, and the Apple Sox stubbed their toe against Cowlitz. Storm Joel Norman will give us those details. And in the back half of the program, going to talk about next Tuesday. Now, next Tuesday is primary election day, but that's not the topic. The topic is National Night Out. It's the national, all over the country gathering where law enforcement officers go to your neighborhood and give out ice cream, and you just get a chance to meet the folks in law enforcement. National Night Out is back on Tuesday night, and Captain Edgar Reinfeld of the Wenatchee Police Department will talk about National Night Out on Tuesday night and other law enforcement issues with the city of Wenatchee. Captain Reinfeld will be my guest in the back half of the program. 73 degrees, so it's a few degrees cooler right now than it was 24 hours ago, but we're still going to be scorching hot. Let's take our tour around the valley. Of course, we begin with our Wenatchee Heights camera, as we always do. It's still, and it might be just me, my eyes, but it still looks like the Columbia River is extremely high. And here we are just a few more days before August comes around. And by the way, and I need to mention this, we're going to get this into detail, even though we are going to see a relief in the oppressively hot temperatures next week, there's a trade-off. We could see some wind. Yeah, and after we have this huge heat wave and it's baked everything dry, and I don't know. Again, we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Camera 2, Mr. Darby wants to go visit the cooler climes of that area there. Is that the Nanapoc Ridge camera? It is. Slightly moved. Kind of threw me for a loop. A little bit of snow up there. You want some relief from the heat? Go to that peak in the upper left-hand side of your screen and enjoy that. Beautiful blue skies up the Lake Wenatchee area where the mosquitoes are doing their thing. I had a friend of mine who went up to Fish Lake a couple of days ago, and they said they just got annihilated by mosquitoes. Came back with about 30 bites. Yikes. Camera 3. Hey, good morning to Monitor, I want to say. It's the Cashmere camera, but we're looking at Monitor back towards the Wenatchee Valley. I mentioned this yesterday. We're losing about 90 seconds of daylight a day, but there's still plenty of daylight to cook us up pretty good. And the orchards are hanging around there. It's pluot season. I'm super happy about that. Love my pluots. A little more expensive this year than they were last year, but I don't care. Pluots are my favorite. I plop them down. And they don't have a very long shelf life, so you got to eat them while you got them. So I'll be pluotting away all weekend long. Camera 4. That's a bit hazy. Is that Billy Goat? Ah, okay. He's got that pointed. I don't know where you got that pointed. Maybe down to the south? That's what I'm thinking. I'm not, okay, we're pointing towards Canada, so we're pointing that almost due north from Billy Goat. But you can see tad hazy there. There are some fires in British Columbia. And of course, we have that dome of high pressure, and so those particles and the smoke goes up into the sky. It's got no place to go. The lid is on, and it settles down towards the valleys. It's not too bad. We've certainly seen it worse. Good morning to our friends up in the Omak, Okanagan, Riverside area. Pateras, Brewster, it's always a pleasure to see you. Yes, relief is on the way. It's coming. But we still have to deal with the oppressively warm temperatures today, tomorrow, and Sunday. But starting Monday, an incoming system is going to start cooling us off. I like that. Daytime temperatures are going to be about normal for Tuesday, even below normal on Wednesday and Thursday. So we finally get a welcome respite if you don't like the hot stuff. Unfortunately, it's also going to bring some breezy winds for our area in some locations. Not too bad in the Wenatchee Valley, but other locations you're going to see that wind pick up. And of course, with all that recent hot weather, there's lots of fuel that could burn. If in fact something gets going, we will keep our fingers crossed. From the National Weather Service, after a 109-degree day yesterday, 107 today, the record high temperature on this date is 105, set back in 2014, 6 years ago. So we're probably going to break another record today. We blew by the old record by 4 degrees. It would be at least 105, maybe even warmer than that by this afternoon. 77 for the overnight low tonight, very mild. 107 on Saturday. That would be a record high. Again, a little breezy tonight, a little breezy on Saturday. Strongest winds overnight tonight. Just a heads up on that. We're going to keep a very close eye on fire conditions. We do it one more time on Sunday with 106 degrees, which will be close to a record, and then our gradual cool down that we've already talked about with a little bit of light winds to the Wenatchee Valley, stronger winds up north and out in the Columbia Basin. By the way, yesterday Moses Lake hit 107. That was one off the record. Ephrata set a new record yesterday with 108. Omak was 109, just like the Wenatchee Valley. That was one off their record high of 110. So after a record high yesterday, probably a record high today, a chance of that tomorrow, close to it on Sunday, and then Mother Nature is going to turn on the air conditioning. We thank you for that. At your forecast, at 8 minutes after the hour, a 1 minute break, and then your Friday morning news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Brace yourselves. Stunning action is going round with the baddest woman on the planet coming to your town. Cause it's a new day with undisputed game changers, unstoppable newcomers, and unimaginable collisions.
McIntyre and Sheamus in a street fight.
WWE Sunday Stunner. Tickets and Superstar Experience packages available now.
The Clearwater Saloon and Casino has the best Vegas-style games in East Wenatchee. Come enjoy yourself and discover the nightly action. Win big and meet new friends at the Clearwater Saloon and Casino.
73 degrees after a 109-degree record-breaking Thursday, 107 today. That would be a new record, 107 tomorrow. Triple digits on Sunday, and then we cool down starting next week. It's 9 minutes after the hour. 6 vehicles were involved in a wreck early Wednesday afternoon on Highway 281. This is just near the interchange with I-90 near George. The Washington State Patrol said 2 people needed to be transported to Quincy Valley Medical Center, but there were no life-threatening injuries. That stretch of highway leading to and from Quincy and Wenatchee off of I-90 was closed for several hours following the accident. The State Patrol says 5 cars were stopped at a construction zone when a semi-truck and trailer collided with the last car in line. That, in turn, caused each car ahead of it to be pushed into the car in front of it. The driver of the semi faces charges of following too close. The city of Wenatchee is pursuing a noise violation complaint against a major local church and appealing a judge's decision to throw it out. Back in March, Wenatchee's city attorney cited Grace City Church in Sunny Slope for allegedly violating the municipal noise ordinance with amplified outdoor music and presentations. Well, Wenatchee police documented 7 noise complaints from neighbors going back through 2021. But the church argued that no police officer actually heard a noise violation, and a Chelan County District Court judge dismissed the case in April. Well, the city is now appealing that case to Superior Court, saying the dismissal took place without a court hearing. If the citation is upheld, the church would be fined up to $513. Led by Pastor Josh McPherson, Grace City frequently holds outdoor events at its church property, and in the past has campaigned to exempt churches from the noise ordinance. Leaders at Grace City, by the way, did not respond to a request for comment from this TV station. The Chelan County Clerk's Office is up for election. It's a 3-way race. And on August 2nd, they're going to narrow it down to 2 who would move on to the general election in November. This is the third and final of our profiles. Marty Young of Peshastin. He's one of the 2 Republican candidates in the race. Marty Young is the secretary of the Chelan County Republican Central Committee, and he spoke to our Jefferson Robbins ahead of next Tuesday's primary election.
Professionally, right now, I am a Department of Social and Health Services Work First program specialist. I help mainly single mothers try and get back on their feet and establish to support themselves and their families. And it's a very fulfilling job.
And you're also involved in union organization within DSHS, correct?
Yes. The state unions called the Washington State Federation of Employees. I'm on the executive board there, the state executive board, and also the local chapter treasurer.
What made you think that, looking at this office, you might like to take on that challenge of, being that key record keeper and being that point of contact for the public?
From my experience working at the Department of Social and Health Services, DSHS, we handle a ton of records every day. All of them high security, high profile records that we need to maintain security of, and it's a paperless office, so I'm familiar with that. I see it as a shift. I don't see it as a big change. So I think we read the laws, we follow the laws at DSHS also. I think it'll be an easy, smooth transition for me.
In your candidate statement when you were running for Cascade School District, Marty, you said the school board must emphasize getting students up to their age respective grade levels and push back on resources spent on mandated indoctrinations. Can you go back to that race and tell me what you meant by mandated indoctrinations? What did you object to?
What I was concerned with is the comprehensive sex education and the critical race theory training. Those are the things that I just don't feel have a place in a public education.
Well, Marty, the Chelan County Clerk's Office is it's partisan, but almost not partisan. It's a job for an administrator. It's not necessarily a job for a policymaker. So
that's true.
Do you see areas in the Chelan County Clerk's Office that you would want to change based on ideology?
I don't, like you say, it's a partisan position, but really there's no place for politics in the office. The duties are purely dictated by law, so it's pretty nonpartisan. The conservative versus liberal mindset, I think, boils down to budgeting and administrating the funds and running the office that way.
Rashad Ahmad Nori, his wife, and 3 children are now living here in the Wenatchee Valley and have since the beginning of this month. Yesterday, in my complete interview with Nori, who worked for NATO in his home country, he talked about their perilous escape from the Taliban regime. Well, part 2 of that story this morning, we had a chance to catch up with Doug Head of the Wenatchee Afghan Support Circle. Doug talks about the local efforts to help them settle in their new home.
So we put together an application. It's a government certification process, and we submitted it, and it was approved. And then we actually sat around and waited for somebody to accept our invitation. We didn't know he was in Abu Dhabi at the time, And so we went about 3 or 4 months with no action. One of the reasons is this isn't exactly a community with a lot of Afghans in it, right? I can't think of anybody, and I would know. I mean,
Sure.
I have a long history working with Afghans and I was in the Peace Corps in Afghanistan, as you know. And then we actually talked about, well, should we disband or should we keep going? And we decided to keep going. And about 3 days later, we got notice from the umbrella organization that a family had accepted our invitation, and they would be here within about 2 or 3 weeks. So then we got fired back up and started getting more serious about raising money and finding a place for them to stay and that sort of thing. So there's about 14 of us that are engaged in this effort.
And there's a fundraiser, there's a GoFundMe page. We're going to show you that in just a little bit, trying to raise $25,000 to help Rashad and his family. This is going to sound like a stupid question I'm going to ask you anyway. How are you doing? All things considered, with what you've been going through for the last year and a half, how are you doing now?
Now I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better because my kids, my family are happy. They have place. Like 9 months we was something that everybody, all the refugee was calling for Abu Dhabi. It's a prison, like a jail. So we are happy that we are get rid of that place. So we are happy. Everybody is happy right now.
You're in the loop of what's making news here on this Friday. It'll be one more busy day in the newsroom, but we will endeavor to give you a newscast at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock tonight. I'll be handling sports. Eric is taking a 3-day weekend. He really needs to take about a 2-week vacation, but he'll take the 3 days anyway. And Grant Olson will be in the anchor chair. And with a preview, here's the man himself.
Good morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, record high temperatures possible once again today and again tomorrow, but the end to the heat is in sight. I'll have all the details in your complete North Central Washington weather forecast. And in sports, Eric Granstrom has the latest on the Mariners Astros series, an update on the Apple Sox, and a peek into Seahawks training camp. That and all the day's news stories coming your way tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. We hope to see you then. Dan?
Thanks, Grant. Don't forget, you got a news tip. You want to drop us a note and say hi? You can do it. We're all for that. Go to our Facebook page, our home page, our email address, or pick up the telephone and give us a buzz. When we come back, highlights, if you will, of the Mariners and the Astros. DK Metcalf is in the fold. And he's got a lot of folding money. Sports is 1 minute away. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Getting ready for the boating season is easy with the help of Bob File Boats and Motors. Now's the time of year to upgrade your boat from a new motor, a bow mount, installing a state-of-the-art GPS fish finder, or just fixing your trailer lights. Make your appointment today. With marine technology changing fast, the service department stays up to date with the newest developments and factory certifications. Spend more time on the water and less time at the shore. Get ready for summer fun now at Bob File Boats and Motors.
19 minutes after the hour, after getting swept by the Oakland A's, the Houston Astros wanted to get back on track, and, well, Alex Bregman made sure that happened. Bregman had a 2-run home run early on, and his tie-breaking RBI double in the 8th inning leads the Astros to a 4-2 victory over the Mariners last night. Here are your highlights.
117 innings, 112 strikeouts over just 30 walks. As he smokes this ball to right field, that'll be off the wall on one hop. Gets to the right fielder more in a hurry. Jordan challenging. He is safe. He turned it on. That ball was off the wall in a hurry, and he still got into second base.
Reggie has good numbers against Logan Gilbert, 6 for 14 in his career.
And he drills one to left field. That ball is gone. Alex Bregman A line drive into the Crawford boxes, and the Astros in front 2-0.
Good things happen when the Astros lead early.
Another base hit for Frazier. It's a leadoff single to start the third. Good take by Dylan Moore. He has drawn his walks this year. Here is the 3-1. Off the plate, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. Consecutive walks after the leadoff single by Frazier.
The tie with really good numbers against Urquidy.
France with a high fly out towards left center. This sends Myers in front of the track to make the catch. Frazier tags. He comes home.
Santana batting from the left side. Open stance.
On the ground, skipping to Gurriel. A little bobble, but he'll handle it. This brings in a run. Dylan Moore scores from third base.
One grounded toward third. Bregman backs up, makes sure he has it. Good. Altuve sends one down the line in left field. That'll be a fair ball and head towards the corner. Altuve will trot into second base with a double. He's there with one out in the third.
Bouncer up the middle. Frazier cuts across. And France is able to handle it, and it's in time. Well, not an easy play for Frazier.
Thought maybe he held it just a bit too long, but able to make the play, throwing back across his.
Now ground ball towards Altuve. He will flip it to Bregman. The turn, double play. No, safe is called. The Astros are going to challenge.
Good idea.
Ball in the back of the glove and the foot in the air.
Call on the field is overturned. The runner is out.
Gurriel leads it off. He's 1 for 3 with a single.
Oh, got him. Scary moment with a pitch at 100 miles an hour up and in. Yuli seems to be okay.
Bregman 0 for 3 in his career against this hard-throwing right-hander.
There goes Yuli. The pitch is fumbled by Cal Raleigh. Yuli is in there with another stolen base. 6 for 6. That ball hit pretty well to left field. Back goes Winker, still going back. That ball's off the fence. Here comes Yuli. He's going to score. 3-2 Astros. Breggy with an RBI double. Jeremy Pena, the batter. That gets away at 101. Here comes Breggy. He's safe. Collision at home plate. Breggy hobbles away from the plate.
Andres Munoz put all of his weight on Alex Bregman, and they collided at home plate.
Bregman is back in the dugout. That's a good sign.
Both starting pitchers looked really good. Houston's Jose Urquidy allowed just 2 runs and 4 hits, 3 strikeouts, 6 2/3 innings. And Logan Gilbert, he pitched really well. He just gave up just 5 hits. He allowed 2 runs, struck out 6 in 6 innings, and now it's the Mariner killer, Justin Verlander. He's got 13 wins on the season. He leads the majors. He'll take on Robbie Ray tonight when the series continues with Game 2. The Wenatchee Apple Sox struck first, led at one point 4-0 after the first 2 innings, and then the Cowlitz Block Bears came storming back, and they beat the Apple Sox. The final was 10-7 last night at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. The Black Bears scoring 5 runs over the final 3 innings to win the rubber match. Joichiro Oyama had a multi-hit effort in the loss. In fact, he tripled in a pair of runs in the second inning. That's his 5th triple of the summer. With a recap, the voice of the Apple Sox, Stormy Joel Norman.
The Apple Sox fall 10-7 in the series finale against the Cowlitz Black Bears. Wenatchee unable to pick up the series victory. It's their 4th consecutive loss in a rubber match, and they had their opportunities in this one. Joichiro Oyama and Xander Orahudos both recording multi-hit games as the Apple Sox at one point had a 4-0 lead after the first 2 innings, but struggled a little bit in the later frames as Cowlitz would score 5 runs over the final 3 innings to pick up the win in the finale of this 3-game set between the 2 squads. Wenatchee suffering the 3-run loss now heads to the road to face the Kamloops Northpaws. They'll begin that series on Friday night at 6:35 p.m. in kind of a must-win scenario. The Apple Sox have lost back-to-back series. They are just ahead by a half a game between 2 teams in the second half standings. The Bellingham Bells just a half a game back. If they tie the Apple Sox, that doesn't matter. Bellingham's already clinched a playoff berth by winning the first half. But the Edmonton Riverhawks winning on Thursday night, they are a half a game back of tying with the Apple Sox for the lead in the North Division in the second half. So needless to say, a big series coming up this weekend between the Sox and the Northpaws. With your Apple Sox update, I'm Joel Norman.
Thank you, Joel. As Joel said, the race now in the North is pretty darn tight for the second half championship. Wenatchee swept Kamloops, by the way, a week ago, but since they swept Kamloops, they've only gone 2-4. First pitch tonight in Kamloops at 6:35. And the Seattle Seahawks have reached an agreement with wide receiver DK Metcalf. It's a 3-year extension. It's worth $72 million. 58.2 of that is guaranteed. This is according to multiple reports. Per Adam Schefter of ESPN.com, the deal contains a $30 million signing bonus. That's the largest bonus ever for a wide receiver. The extension will keep Metcalf under contract through the 2025 season. He had previously been set to earn just $3.9 million this season in the final year of his rookie contract. In 3 seasons, Metcalf has caught 216 passes for 3,170 yards and 29 touchdowns. The receptions and yards are the most ever in team history for a player in his first 3 seasons. He was in camp. He just said, I ain't playing until I get my money, and he got his money. Nicely done, Decaf. And those are just some of the games that people are playing at 26 minutes after the hour. I could have chosen for the obscure holiday National Chicken Wing Day, National Lipstick Day. I quit wearing that a long time ago. National Talk in an Elevator Day. National System Administrator Appreciation Day. We love all the guys and gals who work downstairs in this building. But no, it's National Lasagna Day. Now, why National Lasagna Day is in the dog days of summer is beyond me. I associate, like most people do, lasagna with a wintertime comfort food. Lasagna means one sheet of pasta. So technically, lasagna is plural because lasagna has, well, I don't know how that works. There's a lasagna at the Mirage in Las Vegas at the Portofino restaurant that's $100 a slice. It must be really good lasagna. $100 a slice. I mean, I love lasagna as much as anybody, but I'm not going to pay $100 a slice for a piece of lasagna. I love lasagna. I love it. I hate making it. It's time-consuming and labor-intensive, so I have somebody else make my lasagna for me. Let's move forward at 27 minutes after the hour. The games of the 14th Olympiad opened. There was no Olympics in 1940. There was a war going on, and there was no Olympics in 1944. There was a war going on. So after a 12-year hiatus caused by World War II, the first Summer Olympics to be held since the 1936 Summer Olympics finally opens in London. We do have some footage, I believe, of the opening ceremonies. The 1940 Olympics that were canceled were supposed to be held in Tokyo. They moved it to Helsinki. No, they didn't have it at all. The 1944 Olympics was awarded to London. London was too busy getting bombed by the Nazis, so they said, we're not going to do it anyway. So they finally did it. The two losers, the big losers of World War II, Germany and Japan, were not even invited. The Soviet Union was invited, but they said, no, we're not coming yet. We're still recovering from the war. We'll see you in 1952 in Helsinki, and they showed up. In this Olympics, this was the last Olympics where artists competed for medals. Yeah, all the modern Olympic Games from 1896 until 1948, they had competitions for painting, for sculpting. Architects, writers, and musicians could all win medals in the Olympics. After 1948, they got rid of it. There was one major snafu with the games. Most of the games went off without a hitch. The United States won the 400-meter relay by 18 feet, but a judge ruled that one of the U.S. team members passed the baton outside of the passing zone, so the U.S. team was disqualified. The medals were handed out. The national anthems were played. The United States protested the ruling. They looked at the films. They looked at the photographs of the baton pass, and the judges said that the pass was legal and that the United States actually won the gold medal. But they had already handed out all the medals. So you can imagine this awkward situation. The British team had to give their gold medals to the American team. The Italian team that got the bronze medals had to give them to the British, and then the Hungarian team, which had the bronze medal, had to give their bronze medals to the Italians. After all of this was done, I don't know what the Hungarian team got, year's supply of turtle wax or something. The Olympics are back on. 49 years ago today, Led Zeppelin toured the United States, 33 dates, made bazillions of dollars. This was the final show at Madison Square Garden before they were due to fly back to London. While they were playing at Madison Square Garden on the evening of July 23rd, 1973, somebody broke into the safe at the Drake Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. That's where the band was staying. And they made off with $200,000 in cash, which was the gate receipts, the band's cut of the first two shows at Madison Square Garden. They had it in cash, $200,000 in the safe at the Drake. Gone. Somebody took it, and all 4 passports of the 4 members of Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin's tour manager was questioned by police. He was later exonerated. Who made off with the $200,000 in cash? We don't know. The crime was never solved. And finally, this is the 41st anniversary of the wedding of the century. That's my personal invitation, by the way, that I got in the mail. I couldn't make it. I had other things going on in the summer of '81. To the footage we go. A worldwide television audience of over 700 million people watched the wedding of Charles, the Prince of Wales, and Lady Diana Spencer at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Diana, by the way, was the first royal bride to omit the word obey from her wedding vows, which was probably a good idea because it turns out she didn't. Turns out he didn't either. How many wedding cakes do they have? 27. 27 wedding cakes. The ceremony lasted 4 hours. I've been to long weddings, but a 4-hour wedding. And the wedding cost an estimated $48 million. So for you, prospective father of the brides out there who traditionally fork over the money for the wedding, just be glad he didn't have to pay $48 million to see your daughter get married. Granted, to the man who will eventually be King Charles, the Prince of Wales, and Lady Diana Spencer get married on this date in 1981. And the world watched 32 minutes after the hour. Birthdays. The first real legendary electric guitarist, Charlie Christian. He was the guitarist in Benny Goodman's band. Benny Goodman had a big band, and if you're going to play guitar, you have to amplify the darn thing, and Charlie Christian did it. The very first great electric guitarist. Every electric guitarist that has come owes a debt to the great Charlie Christian, and even though he played in a big band, and a really good big band, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1990. Didn't live very long, though. Died of tuberculosis at the age of 25. Peter Jennings, the anchor of World News Tonight from 1983 until his death. That was my evening news growing up. Well, I was an adult by the time he took over. But, of course, they had the big three. They had Tom Brokaw on NBC, Dan Rather on CBS, and Peter Jennings on ABC. Peter Jennings won the ratings war for the most part. After the stress of covering the September 11th attacks, he was basically on the air with almost no sleep for about a week. The stress got to him. He took up smoking, which he had given up years before, and he eventually died of lung cancer. Peter Jennings, born in the state in 1938. Ken Burns is 69 years old today. The Brooklyn Bridge, the Statue of Liberty, the Civil War, baseball, jazz, the war, the Roosevelts, the Vietnam War. He's making movies still. Ken Burns, America's great documentarian, is 69 years old today. Geddy Lee shares a birthday with Ken Burns, the bassist and composer, songwriter for Rush. Geddy Lee is 69 years old today. And my favorite Japanese sumo wrestler, I want to wish a happy 37th birthday to my favorite, Okuyama Ayumi. Happy birthday, Okanami Ayumi. He's 37 years old today. Big fan of his. 34 minutes after the hour, an opinion with Mike Mad Dog McNaughty. And then Captain Edgar Reinfeld talks about crime in the Wenatchee Valley, Wenatchee specifically, and National Night Out, which is next Tuesday. The good captain joins me next to watch you Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
If you could live anywhere, where would it be? And what would it be like? With today's home values, this is the perfect time to sell and make those dreams real. When you work with a world-class agent at Coldwell Banker, you benefit from trusted guidance and our revolutionary seller's assurance program to make your home sale more rewarding than ever. So it really is true. Your dreams don't have to be just dreams.
Green Motion e-bikes have rolled out the new line of custom e-bikes. They have 3-way adjustable folding e-bikes and full-size mountain e-bikes. Pedal assist and a throttle makes them a perfect fit for any rider. Green Motion e-bikes, located in the Mills Brothers building.
It has really been a great partnership between Succession and NCW Life. It's not always easy to sit in front of a camera or a microphone, but you guys have made it a really nice process.
Hi folks, welcome to Save Mart. How can we help you today?
We're looking for a recliner.
Okay, right this way. Go ahead and move this chase on the other side. You can just
Great, I want that one. I like that one.
That's a great choice.
And I want this one as well.
Okay.
And I definitely want this one.
You'll find it at Save Mart. Full service at a low, low price.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, Bruce Springsteen is a Jersey boy, and that's pretty cool. But his song Glory Days always kind of bothered me. I always thought it was depressing, particularly the line, well, time slips away and leaves you with nothing, mister, but boring stories to tell of. Now, this is my goal. I never want my glory days to be behind me. I always want them to be something ahead. No matter how old we get, I think we ought to need to keep stretching ourselves, keep trying to top the good stuff of our past. Glory days? Maybe sometime tomorrow. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
It's the NCW Life Community Calendar, brought to you by Central Washington Water. The Wenatchee Valley Farmers Market is in full swing with fresh fruits, vegetables, and handcrafted items, Wednesdays from 10 to 2 and Saturdays from 8 to 1 at the Pybus Public Market. East Wenatchee is celebrating the first annual Festival of Flight on Saturday, August 6th at Pangbourne Memorial Airport. Learn about the aviation history of the valley and check out some amazing airplanes, including a B-17 bomber.
Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Every once in a while, our good friend and a big fan of this show, I know because he doesn't watch, Captain Edgar Reinfeld of the Wenatchee Police Department drops by. We have a lot to touch on, Captain. Let's jump right into it. This is something that we get every day, every morning about 6 o'clock. This is from Rivercom. It's the Law Incident Summary Report, and it involves every call that went into Rivercom that they then dispatched whatever the law enforcement agency in their jurisdiction goes out to. So it's Chelan County Sheriff's, Douglas County Sheriff, East Wenatchee Police, and Wenatchee Police. And I just have the Wenatchee Police numbers. This is for Wednesday, the 27th, and you were on 79 calls on a Wednesday, Captain. It's across the board. You have it all. You got graffiti, trespassing, suspicious, malicious mischief, accidents, harassments, threats, parking abandoned, lewd behavior. Crime goes up in the summertime anyway. You've talked about that before, but this seems to be up.
What I would say is activity always goes up in the summer. More people are out. Sometimes more people just notice things because they're out and about and they look and like, hey, that wall was tagged. One of the calls for service yesterday is something I had noticed the night before was someone had taken probably a great big piece of sidewalk chalk, like we might use to mark a tire for parking, and had written something on a utility pole at Idaho and Miller. And it wasn't offensive or anything, but they had actually looked like with chalk had written on a utility pole, which is unusual, but somebody noticed and called it in. People are out and about, they're seeing things, they're doing all that. So crime, our criminal activity is up. We have more crime right now for reasons that can be hard to define at times, except as we are rolling out of our COVID restriction world and we're coming forward, we're seeing more activity and again, more people talking to us. 79 calls for service in 24 hours in the summer, even on a weekday, is a solid number, but not by far anything like our highest numbers. Our highest actually are often late winter, very early spring when we see the transition in weather. People are driving terribly, and we end up with 140 calls for service in 24 hours because we have 40 to 60 collisions. Virtually all of them minor. We're very fortunate here that despite having high collision numbers, we rarely have serious injury collisions or fatality collisions in the city. It percolates. It gets hot. People get tired of each other. This weekend, I'm sure, is going to be a very busy weekend for our guys working nights and day shift, in that people will have spent the last 5 to 7 days at over 100 degrees, and they will be at their wits' end. And then as a bonus, the attempt to deal with the heat often involves consumption of alcohol or other substances, and then people's tempers and their fuses get even shorter, and then we have interactions that lead to contact and requests for services from us. The one thing we've noted, and we've been watching this over the course of the year, we can look at every year, we average somewhere between 20 and 21,000 calls for service most years. We're forecasting somewhere more like 24,000 calls for service this year. And the number of calls for service does not necessarily indicate a rise in crime. That's something we have to look at separately and look at the actual activity. But we can take into account, you noted parking complaints. Obviously, our issues with homeless people parking and having their vehicles and living out of their vehicles, and the legal complexities that go with that, and our limited ability to do anything with those vehicles for the most part, can drive a lot of calls for service for a relatively concentrated spot. So we can easily say, well, we had 24,000 calls for service, or 25, or whatever it sorts out to be this year, and that's a lot more last year, so crime must be worse. It's not necessarily the case. I do know, however, looking at statistics in the last month, from CompStat is a system we pay for, we can see assaults are up, malicious mischief are up, thefts are up. But a lot of it, too, can come down to, are people reporting thefts they weren't reporting before? Are people reporting assaults they weren't reporting before? So there's these psychological factors, and it would be interesting to survey every caller for the last 10 years and find out what it is. But we need a doctoral candidate from a university who wants to do some work, because we certainly don't have the bandwidth to go and do that sort of thing.
Do the patrol officers get a break? I mean, as soon as they take care of whatever the situation is, as soon as they get back into their car, they're off and running again to another call? Is that?
Yeah, that's basically it. We went from an environment when I was new of handling calls, having time for good proactivity, having good time that I could, discretionary time that I could use to run traffic or to do contacts. Like when I was a new officer, I took the north every day. I liked working the north. There was a lot of retail theft, plenty of traffic to run, and I would go at least 2 days a week and have lunch at the senior center. I'd just go sit at the senior center and have lunch with the folks there and let them talk it out. It was great. You know, my grandparents were still alive, and they were there sometimes. I'd go have lunch with grandma and grandpa. I cannot imagine our patrol officers today having that time. And the challenges come from a combination of staffing, reporting requirements the federal government put down about 10 years ago that we really embraced and said we will be fully involved in the national incident-based reporting system methodology of doing this, as opposed to the old uniform crime reporting system. UCR is still under NIBRS, but we became fully compliant with NIBRS right away, out of it being not only the right thing to do, but giving us good information fidelity and letting us really understand what was happening in our community. So they have to write more reports than they did when I was new, 17 and a half years ago. The reporting itself is a little bit more exhaustive, and the call volume literally drives a continuous deal. And where we're running at or one above minimums every day, we have our patrol shifts are supposed to be staffed at 7. We are not there right now. We still have people on administrative leave from our second shooting. We're lucky to have our minimum 4 every day. If we have a really good day, we have 5, or a super day, we may have 6 on, which then does spread that out. But questions like, when are they going to do traffic enforcement when we're not on calls? Additionally, a lot of these calls are higher acuity. We are taking more time to deal with them. We're giving people more time and using more time to de-escalate any situation. So we are, if it was even the same number of calls, we'd still have less discretionary time because we are utilizing the time we have, and policing is changing. And conveniently, next week we have a week-long class with a guy who wrote a peer-reviewed study about how to analyze for size in your department and right size your department. So all next week I will be doing math. Lots and lots of math. With Excel, I'm not that great at math, but we're doing a lot of math to figure out how many people should we have to maybe figure this out.
Let's get you warmed up on that to this end. And correct me if I'm wrong, Captain Reinfeld. If I remember correctly, you're budgeted for 46 full-time commissioned officers in the budget. How many do you actually have?
So we are authorized 45
Okay,
full-time commissioned staff. That's from the chief to our most junior officer. So there's 45 of us authorized. We currently have 41 on the books. We have 2 more who are queued up to go to the Basic Law Enforcement Academy in October right now. One of the challenges, the academy is way out. Our first dates we got for them were November when we put in their applications in June. It's walked back to October. We expect them to walk back to September or maybe even late August as the BLEA starts out their deal, the Basic Law Enforcement Academy. So that would bring us number 42 and 43. Number 44 is a current Moses Lake officer who's got a tentative start date of August 29th, who initially came to us a few years ago, wasn't quite ready, got hired somewhere else, worked his way up, called back and said, hey, I want to come back. We talked to him now. He's ready now, and we'll take him now. So that'll get us to 44. The good thing is, as you've noted, your brother, our mayor, our city council is extremely supportive. If we found 3 top shelf candidates today that could start in the next 2 months because they're lateral officers, I'm confident that we go to the city council, make a request, and probably exceed that authorization because it's the right thing to do right now. We know that we are pending additional attrition through retirement in the next 2 years, and the cycle time for starting somebody. Chief Crown is yesterday gone to the Basic Law Enforcement Academy for a graduation. This officer got hired 6.5 months ago, graduating from BLEA. We'll do 2 to 3 weeks of post-academy pre-FTO, do at least 14 weeks of FTO before she is released to work for us solo on the road. So our cycle time for a new employee is anywhere from 8 to 11 months after they get their start date. And if we hire them or offer them a job and have a prospective start date that can be 3 to 5 months out, we're well over a year. Whereas with a lateral, we're more like 20 to 22 weeks before we can put them to work.
So essentially the city is paying their tuition, so to speak, and in exchange they are committed to, once they go through the entire process that you just went through in detail, they then become a Wenatchee police officer and they're committed for a certain amount of time to work for the Wenatchee
Actually
Police
not.
Department?
So the way Washington State works, you have to have a job with an agency to go to the Basic Law Enforcement Academy.
Which makes sense.
Right. So many states, post states, police officer standards and training states, and there's like 18 or 22. I can't remember how many post states there are, but your certification can travel with you easily. And Washington accepts that post certification with a short lateral class. You have to be hired. Your agency pays a certain portion of your fees and provides ammunition and those things for the academy. And they go on the payroll the day we start their pre-academy, which is 1 to 2 weeks before they go. We start them on pre-academy. We ensure that we get some basic firearms training with them. We go over a lot of our standards. We get them set up with HR. We do all those things, and then we send them away. And we're paying them the entire time. We're paying part of their fees, whatever the state chooses to charge, and it's varied over the years. And when they get back, then we train them, and then we put them to work.
Real briefly, we're going to talk about National Night Out, which is coming up on Tuesday, the 2nd of August, also Election Day, I might add. But real quickly, the city contracted with North Florida Productions to produce a recruitment video, which is all over the city's website and your Facebook page and social media. Extremely well done, and it sells potential recruits to come and be a law enforcement officer for the city of Wenatchee. I think it's well done. Your thoughts?
It's amazing. We have talked about doing a recruiting video for years and talked about doing in-house. We'll get some snippets. We'll have our officers come up with their 30-second message, and we'll record it with our phone or whatever, and we'll put it out there. And we finally got serious. And we went and did the right thing, which was find professionals, excellent professionals, talk with them, have them facilitate it. The neatest thing was we didn't script our video when you see it. We didn't
well, your job is unscripted. Like. You can't really do that.
Valid point, but we didn't come to North 40 with a message we were trying to sell, except that here's our values, here's our mission. They recorded, I don't know how many hours. I know at least 8 hours of interviews the one day with a variety of local leaders, from council people to like Darcy from the Apple Blossom Festival. Recorded all these people's impressions, and they wrote the questions. We didn't write the questions. They talked to our officers and asked questions. And the end product is, you see a lot of recruiting videos from a lot of agencies that try to stick some humor in there. They try to make it funny. They end up looking kind of cheesy sometimes. And instead, we have this 4.5 to 5 minutes of this extremely earnest, honest, and heartfelt telling of our department's story. And if it doesn't work, I don't know what to do at this point. But hopefully we're baiting the waters properly with this. And the expense was so far beyond worth it. It's amazing. It really is a tremendous product that hopefully will bear some fruit.
The who's getting who 90% of the, maybe even more than 90% of the time that you interact with local law enforcement, being Wenatchee Police or anybody else, it's negative. It's like, I need your help because something is seriously wrong. Please help me. Which is why National Night Out, a national campaign, exists to begin with. It's a chance for you to interact with local law enforcement, not because somebody graffitied your house or hit your car. This is a whole nother idea of getting to know your police officer. Some changes this year. Talk about National Night Out from the Wenatchee Police Department. What do you guys got going on?
So, National Night Out, we've been doing it for many years, of course. We've done it in conjunction with others. Last year, we went out on our own and had 3 locations. We decided 3 was good, 5 would be better. So we're going to go for 5 this year. So next Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m., we will be at 5 locations. So we'll be at Cafe, the Orange House, I think even Casa Naranja. You'll see posted on the signs out there, but the Chacones organization with Cafe, and who are also partners with us with the Recovery Navigator program for drug diversion now. So great partners. We'll be holding a block party there. We will also be at Pioneer Park at the corner of Fuller and Russell Streets at the old. There's no picnic shelter there, but there's the picnic pads where the tables are and the ancient, super cool stone chimney and fireplace that were there for picnic shelter forever. We'll be at Washington Park at the picnic shelter on the Wilson Street side of Washington Park. We'll be down at Pennsylvania Park, a park most citizens in Wenatchee probably have no idea actually exists.
It's tucked behind a little bit.
Conveniently, folks, it's on Pennsylvania Street. It's Pennsylvania Park between 2nd and 3rd Streets. It's 1 block up from Chelan. And then finally at Rotary Park. And we will be at the North Picnic Shelter. The south one is under construction or being renovated. So we'll be at the North Picnic Shelter by the splash pad, which is convenient. So we'll be there from 6 to 8 p.m. Now, we've got our 2 ice cream trucks coming around, but unfortunately we have 2 trucks, 5 locations, which means there's a schedule for the ice cream trucks if you're going to chase free ice cream. They will be at Cafe in Pennsylvania Park from 6 to 6:35 p.m. They will be at Washington and Pioneer from about 6:45 to 7:30, and then both trucks will be at Rotary Park from about 7:35 until 8 to 8:15 to get your fix. Each one of these parks sits in a district for a council person, so the council people are committed to being in their district, so it's an opportunity as well not only to meet police officers, get a look at our equipment, talk to us, get stickers, get ice cream, but you'll be able to meet with a city council person for that district. We are fortunate to have some sponsorship help again. We'll publicize more afterward as we get it lined out. But really, we just want to have a good time and host it. The neat thing, like I said, Chelan County's doing one in Cashmere at the same time as we're going at the Riverside Center. And then, of course, August 3rd on Wednesday, East Wenatchee's got the big regional one at Eastmont County Park again. We just want people to come out. We want to talk to you. We want to hear what you have to say. We want you to meet us and see who we are. And we would love to start recruiting your children right now, if it's possible, with free ice cream and other enticements to go, hey, it's a shiny car. You could have one someday. So, but no, the point is really to meet with people, to get with them. We spoke before we started the interview. I was really pleased last year being at Washington Park that only 4 or 5 people drove to the location, and the rest were people walking out of the neighborhood and coming there. Our park locations don't necessarily suit all of our primary residential areas in the city, but they're not bad.
No, and they're neighborhood parks.
And they are neighborhood parks where hopefully neighborhoods can come to us, meet with us for a little bit. It's not supposed to be 110. It's only supposed to be 88, 89. It should be pretty pleasant, and hopefully we don't have the violent rain shower or thunder and lightning we got last year 20 minutes before start, because that was a little much, standing there in a park and going, well, I guess no one's coming.
Captain, real quickly before we cut you loose, we're almost out of time. I want to end where we began with, as far as when you guys roll on a call. Do the general public have an idea that this is something that warrants the attention of law enforcement, but really isn't an emergency? So I really shouldn't call 911. I should call the Rivercom non-emergency line and just say, hey, there's some graffiti here, or this car hasn't moved for a month. Yeah. Are they pretty good about that?
I would say so. I think the vast majority of people understand that there's a difference between an emergency and when you should call the non-emergency line. So 911 versus 509-663-9911. The vast majority of the time we seem to get people calling the right number. In fact, a lot of times I would say it goes the opposite. People are calling the non-emergency line when this is really something that could be more pressing. Now, the good news is they all ring into the same room. You all go to the same people who all have equal capability to get you help. So regardless of where you call non-emergency or emergency, it's still going to the right folks. The emergency line, the 911 lines take priority for answering. But realistically, there's not a lot of sitting there with a lot of ringing and waiting to get answered. Rivercom does a great job in not only fielding the calls, but getting the information to us so we can go and help.
National Night Out Tuesday night at various parks, as Captain Reinfeld told you all over the Wenatchee Valley. Cops are people too. That's the number one message you're going to take away. Captain Edgar Reinfeld, I hope you have nothing to do today.
That would be glorious, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, and we're going to be right back.
The NCW Life Channel offers marketing packages that help you build your brand and sell your products and services. From traditional TV ads to targeted digital campaigns, let us help you build your customer base. Call NCW Life Channel today.
It has really been a great partnership between Succession and NCW Life. It's not always easy to sit in front of a camera or a microphone, but you guys have made it a really nice process.
When you call Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, you're calling on 35 plus years of experience in the Wenatchee Valley. Spending extra time in your home, you may have discovered an unwanted aroma. Stinky feet, pets, who knows what. Call Dick's today about installing their Train Clean Effects electronic air cleaner or a Rheem Halo ultraviolet air purifier. Either way, the air quality in your home will be improved. Proudly servicing all of North Central Washington, call 884-6444 today.
How much are you paying for adult, family, or assisted living? Epladolin Retirement and Assisted Living offers one-bedroom apartments for one affordable price. Their rates are all-inclusive. No nickel or diming or sudden increases, just one set price. You or your loved one will receive good food and excellent care in a relaxed, home-like environment. Stop on by for a tour to see if the Epladolin family is the right choice for you.
Family-owned and operated Epladolin Retirement and Assisted Living in Cashmere. Affordable care.
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, they believe your investment success begins with a personalized plan. A plan that is the roadmap you need to navigate your way to living your best years in retirement. D.A. Davidson can help you create a plan so you can take the time to enjoy the finer things in life. Let the financial advisors at D.A. Davidson help chart your retirement future today.
77 degrees, another oppressively hot day. Before we get to the weather forecast in detail, I'm trying to temper my enthusiasm, but this is the winning lottery ticket for tonight's Mega Millions drawing. As you know by now, if you've been following the news at all, tonight's drawing is worth like $75 billion. You know, it's huge. And so just a quick little programming reminder. If, in fact, I do not win the lottery tonight, I will be here on Monday to greet you for another week. If I do win the Mega Millions jackpot, which is $179 billion, I'll still be in on Monday because I'll have to clean out my desk and get my last paycheck. Just wanted to let you know. There is relief in sight, folks. It's coming. You're going to have to pack a little patience, but it's coming. In fact, we're going to go from record-breaking high temperatures to actually temperatures a bit below average on Wednesday and Thursday as that ridge of high pressure begins to break down and move out of the area. But unfortunately, the trade-off there, after all of this dry, hot weather, there's lots of fuel to get fires going, and it's going to be a little windy at times next week. In case you're just joining us, 109 was our high temperature yesterday. That shattered the old record of 105. Moses Lake got to 107, Ephrata 108, Omak 109. How warm are we going to be today after a 109-degree Thursday? About 107 from the National Weather Service. There we go. Hot. Now, it's going to be a little breezy tonight, a little breezy on Saturday, not too bad. Northwest wind about 8 to 10 miles an hour tonight. Overnight low of 77. 107 again on Saturday. We get to 107 today, new record high. 107 Saturday, new record high. Sunday, 106 would tie a record high, and then Mother Nature's air conditioning kicks in next week, and that is it for us. I might see you Monday. Till then, bye-bye.